So I woke up this morning and it was so cold outside and I felt like, you know what, today's a great day to make bread because it's starting to feel like fall. But I wanted to share with you how to do this quick, no-fail, easy bread recipe that I learned about 25 years ago from my friend Mary Lou back in Virginia. So shout out to Mary Lou. Take all your jewelry off and make sure that your hair is pulled back because nothing's worse than eating a piece of food and you pull a nice long hair out of it. So anyhow, do that and let's get going. It is the easiest no-fail recipe. It's not healthy for you, but it's really good. So anyhow, we're gonna start out. We've got 5 cups of the hottest tap water that you can get out of the sink. And then you're gonna grab 2/3 cup of sugar. We got 2/3 cup of oil, and I just use canola oil. And then we've got 2 tablespoons of salt. Guys, do not forget the salt. And then we're just gonna mix this together till everything is dissolved. These are the 2 things in every kitchen you should have, is a whisk and a big wooden spoon. So then what we're gonna do, because if you've ever worked with yeast, you know that hot water will kill the yeast and then it won't raise. So I just always take a little bit of flour and I just sprinkle it in between the flour and the oil and the salt and the sugar. It should bring the temperature of the water down. So when you put the yeast in, it doesn't kill it. We're gonna take the yeast, we got 3 tablespoons, and we're just gonna sprinkle it in. I don't want you to dump it in, I just want you to sprinkle it in until everything looks like it's nice and dissolved. So we're just mixing it up until we get some of this brown, milky-ish water, and then we're just gonna chill for a second. So now you can see it's starting to work as I kind of move it around. It's growing and doing its thing. Now the rest of the recipe is easy. We just add flour. Now here's the deal. My bread recipe calls for about 8 to 10 cups of flour. I don't always measure, so it's kind of around there. And just mix it up with the whisk. And then we just keep repeating this until we get to a place where it's gonna get nice and sticky on our whisk. And we're gonna have to stop using it and move to the wooden spoon. All right, so now it's starting to get sticky to the point that I can't really mix it with the whisk anymore. Grab myself my wooden spoon and start adding more flour. All right, guys, so something to think about here. I have people ask me all the time, can you do this in what are they called, KitchenAid? No, we don't do this in a KitchenAid because this is good exercise. This is why we go and we lift weights at the gym, right? Using those muscles to make bread and to mix in all that flour. And if you notice here, it's starting to form into a ball. I'm just kind of moving it around with the spoon. It's kind of like kneading with the spoon. So now I've added in enough flour that it's not sticking too bad to the spoon. It's still a little sticky, but I've got somewhat of kind of a bowl here, I mean a ball, not a bowl. I'm gonna add a little bit more, and again, I'm just doing a little bit at a time. I'm covering the top, and now I'm gonna start kneading. And if you don't know how to knead, I'm gonna show you. You're gonna grab from the outside of the bowl, pull it into the center, and then push into it, and then turn the bowl, pull the outside to the center. And you're just gonna keep going around and around and around, and it's gonna make this ball. Now it's sticking to my hand, so I'm gonna get some more flour, sprinkle it in, and then keep going. Now we're gonna flip it over, open it up, and notice it is still very, very sticky on my hands. So that means I need more flour. So again, sprinkle it on, but make sure to spread it around. You don't want any big clumps of flour in your dough. But now where you need to be careful is if you knead too much, then it'll get really tough and then your bread won't raise and it'll just be kind of yucky. So knead until it still feels soft. Forming a ball, it's not sticking to you, and again, every time flipping it over, opening it up, being if it's still too sticky, adding a little flour, and then just kneading a little bit more. Okay, friends, so this will be the end of my kneading right here. It feels good, it's nice and soft, okay? I open it up, it's a little bit sticky, but it's not too bad, like I can touch it and it's not gonna be sticking to me even though I got all this stuff on my hands. So we're just gonna take this and we're just gonna leave it in the bowl and we're gonna let it raise for about 10 minutes. We just kind of want it to grow a little bit, make sure that the yeast isn't dead, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I put a towel over the top of it just to kind of keep the warmth in so that it could raise. And when you touch it, it's just nice and soft and fluffy. Feels like a baby's bum is what they always say. So anyhow, you want to have 4 pans that have already been sprayed, ready to go, because this is going to make 4 loaves of bread. I like to put just a tiny bit of flour on the countertop, not too much, because you don't want to get your bread too dry. So just a little bit, and then let's go ahead and put our bread out. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it, we're just gonna divide it into 4 clumps. So there's 1 halfway, and there's 2, 3, and then 4. Now you'll notice it's kind of sticking to my hands, right? So I'm gonna need a little bit of flour here to do this next part, just because it is still a little sticky, which is totally fine. Just gonna put some on the top, put some on the bottom, and then we're gonna take a rolling pin. This is kind of a secret. Whenever you need, that's what kind of gets rid of the bubbles and makes it more of a dense bread. But Mary Lou taught me just to use a rolling pin. So we're gonna take it and we're gonna roll it out. As you do it, you might hear some bubbles popping. It feels like I got all the bubbles out. I'm just gonna start rolling it from one end to the other. And then let's just kind of seal everything in, tuck the ends in just so it looks pretty. And then once I'm done, I just take this and plop it right into the pan. And then we do 2, 3, and 4 the same exact way. All right, there we go. So there's our 4 loaves. Now you may notice that some of them may be just a little bit bigger, totally fine. So we're gonna put it into, notice, a cold oven. I have not turned it on, I have not preheated it. And we're gonna take the ones that tend to be a little bit bigger, since I didn't have them all equal, and I'm gonna throw those in the back. Just make sure that they're all equally spaced in your oven. We're going to set it at 200 degrees for 20 minutes. So they're gonna raise in the oven for 20 minutes as the oven is warming up. All right, then you got 20 minutes to kill before we're gonna turn the temperature up and we're gonna cook them, and guess what? We're done. Okay, so after those 20 minutes of being in the oven at 200, I turned it up to 350 degrees and I cooked it for 30 minutes. Now we've got 4 loaves that look amazing and they smell so good. And one of the ways for you to figure out if they're done or not is to hit them on the top, and if they sound hollow, then you know they're done. So you don't want to put them right on the countertop, otherwise they will sweat. And there you have it, 4 deliciously yummy things of white bread. Enjoy, try it out and let me know how it goes.